If you're just getting into soldering, or if you already are into soldering and you don't have a set of helping hands, well, let me help you out today. I have one of these stands. I've shown it before in a number of videos where I show soldering. I bought it a couple years ago, and it was one of the best purchases I ever made. This company reached out to me to send me another one and have me review it. And I already own one of these. I recommend them. I like them a lot. This one had some different accessories, and I'll show you what's in it. Regardless of which one it is, one of these magnetic helping hands for soldering, which you can get a bunch of them on Amazon or wherever you buy stuff, they're really important to have because they help you hold stuff and not burn stuff like your hands, your fingers, and they just make your life a lot more comfortable. And they have different things in them that will help you with different projects and different cables or different chips that you're soldering on. So definitely pick one up. This is the one we're looking at today, is some magnetic helping hands. And this has got some stuff that my other one doesn't, which is nice. So let's take a look at it. The basic setup for these is a metal base, which has some rubber feet underneath it. That's going to be your general workspace, and all your magnetic stuff will stick to that. This thing that any of these sets will have are these nice little arms, and they often have some short ones and some long ones, and both are useful, and they have these little clamps on the end. The clamps on the end often, I find, sometimes fall off, which is annoying. They've got these little screws that hold them in, and sometimes you're working on something, and the little clamp falls off, and that's my pet peeve with these, but you can freely rotate them 360 degrees, and so that's cool, I guess. Yeah, the little thumb screw that holds these in, that's often kind of the weak point, or whatever the metal of this base of this clamp is. Anyways, the clamps are very useful. I like them. It's just annoying when you're working on something and the little head of the clamp just pops out on you and sometimes drops what you're working on. That's annoying. Otherwise, the flexible arms are pretty nice and sturdy, and they can hold a little bit of weight, enough for electronics projects. You've also got these little pointy guys. These are for circuit boards. You can set them up so that you can put the corners of your circuit board on them. Now, some things, especially more like project boards, will have holes in the corners for you to mount on things like this. And if you're working on repairing some, commercial products, then they often won't have those, but you can still use these as a little platform and just kind of set your board on top of them. This set also came with a couple other cool tools, which I haven't used before. There's this freely posable clamp grip thing. It's got this gear on the side that will lock everything all at once, which is quite nice. So you can just pop that open. You can adjust this little set of jaws, wherever you want it, lock down the gear, and the whole thing is sturdy. And then it's got these nice big jaws, which you could use for holding all sorts of stuff. You could see this being useful for soldering like XLR plugs or something, or holding a bigger item. Then this one also came with a magnifying glass, and it's quite bright, and the magnification is pretty nice. So I did a little bit of testing while I was shooting some demo footage for this, and I was able to solder through this nicely, and the magnification works well. It's at a good sort of distance where I can get a good view of some small parts. It's nice to have a magnifying glass, especially for some of the smaller components you're working on, or even just any components, because they're all small. But especially if you're trying to hand solder SMD stuff, you really want a magnifying glass. And this one has a nice bright light with different color temperature options. Not sure why that would be useful, but it's nice, and different brightness levels. So it's also got this nice big adjustable neck, so you can stick it wherever you need it, and it all locks down onto your magnetic base. This particular set is from EOOKU, and I have another one that is very similar, pretty much the same exact parts involved, that is from Noevsbig. You gotta love these names that you find on Amazon. They seem to be the same exact stuff, essentially, come out of the same factory, different names on them. But either way, I've been using the one I have for years, and it works great. And I've done a bunch of projects on it. I've spent many hours soldering various projects on it, and it makes my life so much easier. So highly recommend. If you don't have something like this, you can get them in a couple different price points depending on how many of these accessories you want. But even if you get just the most basic one, they're not very expensive. If you do any soldering at all, like really any, highly recommend you get one, because otherwise it's just a real pain. When I started soldering back in like high school, I would try to, I don't know, just hold stuff with my hands or set up various little, clamps to try to hold one wire over here. And, I ended up just burning my fingers a lot. Nothing too serious, but, just little burns. It wasn't fun. It was frustrating. Soldering can already be frustrating. And if you're burning yourself too, it's just like, you just want to quit. So do yourself a favor, get yourself some helping hands. And I had one of those sets of the really little guys you might have seen that have got like 2 arms, little clamp hands, and a magnifying glass. And they're like, $5-10. Don't buy those. They're terrible. They're really pretty much useless. They don't balance well, and I don't know why anyone makes them. Spring for a proper table with arms. It's 100% worth it if you're going to do any soldering. And if you're a musician, solder. Learn to solder. Solder your cables. Instrument cables aren't the worst. XLR cables are. They're terrible. They break all the time. And they're not that fun to repair, but it's more fun than spending $20 on a new cable. And you can buy cheap cables and nice connectors and replace them as they die with high-end connectors for a few bucks each. And you can have some really nice cables, which is what I've done over the years. And you can repair your instrument cables. You can repair your guitars. It's definitely recommended that you know how to solder. I'm not an electronics expert. I've built a couple of pedals. I've done enough repairs and servicing of electronics over the years that, I've gotten paid for it plenty of times, but I still don't consider myself like a total expert. I mean, it's not my day job. But anyways, it's a really useful skill to have. And if you know how to do it, you also sometimes get paid to do it, which is nice. So go get yourself some magnetic helping hands. I'll put a link in the description to where you can get this. I should do a whole video on my whole solder setup, but I'm not going to do that right now. But maybe at some point in the future, especially if people are interested. I do have a decent setup at this point. I started with super cheap stuff back in high school, and in the last couple years, I decided to upgrade everything so I can do some more serious projects, and definitely worth it to have some nice tools. But this is probably number one. Even if you're working with a super cheap soldering iron, definitely this would be my first purchase. Also, maybe a system for ventilation, but you have windows and you have desk fans. So thanks for checking this out. As always, smash like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.